gentlemen, welcome back to Football Turca. This is a little bit of a special episode, given that it's our 10th episode. Nothing more special than that, is there? Well, thank you to joining us once again for matchday 29 coverage. No Turkish Cup or anything, any distractions, no national team game. So I would like to welcome my co-hosts Burak Sezgin and Özer Dindjer returning. The original band is back together without any extra limbs this week.
Yes. It's good to be back. Good to have Ozzy back again. I know that last week's was a derby, so we had quite a lot of discussion. Got a little bit intense as well. But hopefully this week should be a little bit less intense, apart from when I discussed the absolute dog shit show, which is Fenerbahce right now.
That was one of the more one-sided games of the weekend for sure. And now, how was your weekend, Ozzy?
Yeah, very good, thank you, very good. A nice, relaxing Easter break.
Arsenal game, well, nice, relaxing.
Yeah, well, relaxing for me, I suppose, having seen Galatasaray get the 3 points.
Yeah, for sure.
Could have been very different for
not just that.
Not
just that.
Yeah,
what about you, Burak? Apart from having to sit through another 90 minutes of an underwhelming Fenerbahce performance, were you up to anything special otherwise?
I had a lot of friends around. So I had friends around on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Each time FIFA was played, I was defeated because I was just in a bad mood. There was barbecues, there was shisha nargile, Turkish style. Although I just realised I didn't make anyone any Turkish tea the whole time, so I might have to rectify that and get them back over.
I actually did my fair share of barbecuing this weekend as well. I forgot about that already.
So I still have leftover kofta in the fridge, so I'll be eating that for the next few days, but I'm not complaining.
Envy you. Okay, well, let's get started. Let's talk some football now. Matchday 29. The title race is heating up, something we didn't really expect a couple of weeks ago. But let's start with the beginning. That's on Friday when Kasımpaşa squared off with Bursaspor. This is more, of course, a relegation match. Kasımpaşa holding Bursaspor to a draw here. Kasımpaşa, although taking the lead in the 60th minute through who else but Mahmut Trezeguet, basically the only one left standing in the second half of the season, the only man who's really getting anything done for them. And then Aytaç Kara equalizing from the penalty spot in the 81st minute. Bursa, again, no victory, but get a point, and bit by bit maybe crawling their way out of that relegation zone, although they just need, at this point, they just need a win. But no victory for Bursaspor, no victory for Samet Aybaba. Kasımpaşa continue to underwhelm in the second half of the season, guys. Burak, I'm going to throw to you first. Do you think Bursa are going to get out of this ditch?
I think they're going to stay up, yeah. I think the three that are going to go down are the current three that are 16th, 17th and 18th. So Erzurum, Göztepe and Akhisar. Just because Göztepe have just taken a complete nosedive with their form. They can't seem to fight their way out of a wet paper bag right now. I think Bursa, I just think they just got a little bit more character about them. When I see them play compared to when I see Göztepe play, Bursa have always got some kind of attacking threat. You kind of feel that they can make something happen in their games, whereas Göztepe just look completely deflated. And, I'm going to say it again, it's the Cameron Jerome effect.
Yeah, I think Bursaspor will be disappointed maybe not to get to win here because, Ozzy, they were kind of more the lively side. And if you compare it to Göztepe like Burak just did, you do see a big difference where Bursaspor have a lot more ability to express their forward intent, I think, although the end product isn't there at the moment.
Yeah, I totally agree. Bursaspor really giving it everything they can in the last few games. They've really shown an impressive improvement. Although they haven't been winning, you can see that the performance is improving a lot. And really the same can't be said for Göztepe. If anything, they're going the opposite way. They look pretty much dead out there. And it's quite sad to watch, really.
Yeah, arguably the worst team. I think even statistically, that there's no doubting it. They're the worst team in the second half of the season, and that's not just statistically. You can see it on the pitch too. There's just so little belief in them. But we'll get to Göztepe a little bit later. Anything left to add to this match, gentlemen, or shall we move on to Saturday results?
I just want to say that the penalty that was given, for me that was a correct call, because I know it wasn't given. It went to VAR. Yeah, you can clearly see the ball it leaves the player's foot. The goalkeeper's hand comes in and grabs his foot and brings him down, and it was either clever by the player to knock the ball away to draw in that challenge from the goalkeeper, or it was just bad goalkeeping, you can say. But VAR comes in and gives the correct decision, which is what we want VAR to do for us. There are a few contentious decisions, in other games which we'll get to, but I don't think either side can have a complaint about the penalty.
No, fully agree with that. Yeah. Nice paying attention by the way, Burak, because I just glossed over that. So thank you very much for pointing that out. I didn't add it to my notes. I should have really. Saturday results then, starting off with Trabzonspor against Malatyaspor. Trabzonspor continue their winning ways, and they beat Malatyaspor 2-1 at home, despite the fact that they went 1-0 down after just 22 minutes when Ömer Şişmanoğlu opened the scoring for the visitors. But who else but Anthony Nwakaeme got on the score sheet once again in the 31st minute, equalizing for Trabzonspor, and it was Nwakaeme again who would provide Hugo Rodallega with the assist for the 2-1 winner in the 79th minute. That came 3 minutes after former Trabzonspor player Mustafa Akbaş, who currently plays for Malatyaspor, of course, got sent off. He got 2 yellow cards in the time span of 6 minutes in the 70th and in the 76th minute, so 3 minutes before the Trabzon goal. But honestly, throughout, Trabzonspor was pounding on the door. Nwakaeme really stole the show, got a goal, got an assist, and throughout the match was just unavoidable for them, and he continues to impress, guys. Özer, is he someone you'd like to see at Galatasaray maybe next season if Onyekuru leaves, for example?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I've been very impressed with Nwakaeme since the start of the year. He's been one of the revelations of the Super League. I think this has scored his 10th goal now. Although I am wary of picking up flash players from some of the Turkish clubs just after having performed well for 6 months. So I don't know if he's exactly the kind of player I want to see at Galatasaray, but I certainly think he's more ready and he's more a complete package than Onyekuru is right now. So as a swap, I'd take Nwakaeme for sure. And it looks like Trabzonspor have adjusted reasonably well to life after Burak Yilmaz as well, mostly thanks to Nwakaeme, but it's good that the team has been able to kind of adjust and adapt in his absence.
Yeah, they have different sources of goals now. Hugo Rodallega obviously isn't the same caliber of striker, but he gets a goal. He gets on the score sheet. Although he had been standing dry for a couple of weeks there, but Nwakaeme definitely inspires them a lot, and they have a lot of fun offensive players with Abdulkadir Parmak, Abdulkadir Ömür, and of course Yusuf Yazıcı, Jose Sosa. They have plenty of offensive qualities. They should be scoring, creating chances. That's definitely not one of their issues. I think for years now, their main issue kind of has been defensively and the organization defensively. That's something that's been keeping them back. But yeah, the thing about Nwakaeme, though, he might be a revelation for most people in Turkey, but really he's been building this career for several years now. He's been consistently performing the last couple of years of his career, and I remember when Besiktas were playing Beersheva in the league, in the Europa League. I spoke to an Israeli journalist about Beersheva, and Nwakaeme was a big part of that team back then, and he was full of praise of him even back then. This is several years ago. So Nwakaeme really has been coming. I mean, it's not just a 6-month wonder. He has been building at this. He's not just having a great stint. He's got something more. I think he's obviously older than Onyekuru, but I think he's proving now at Trabzonspor that he could prove valuable for any Turkish team. I think I wouldn't shy away from picking him up. I think Besiktas, for example, can use a winger in the transfer period. I don't think that Trabzon will be willing to sell, but I definitely wouldn't say no to him. What about you, Burak? Nwakaeme, would you take him at Fenerbahce? And what was your overall opinion on this match?
I'd take him because he looks like he can play right now. I mean, asking me is like, having seen the absolute shit show that we put on in midfield for the last 2 games, he is someone I would take. But I'd like to echo Ozzy's trepidation by saying it's all right, someone playing well, but there's always a risk when they come to a bigger club like one of the big Istanbul three. Are they going to be able to perform? Are they going to be able to reproduce that form on the pitch when they come to a club where there's more expected of you? But he looks like a real lively firecracker. Like I said, he had another great game had by him, a goal, assist. He looked like a threat all game. I know they're playing Malatya, but these are the teams that you need to perform against, and maybe put yourself in a shop window. But like he's having a great time at Trabzon, and you can't deny that he's a joy to watch when he's on the pitch, just because of his energy that he brings. Again, I think there was a penalty decision that Trabzonspor were maybe expecting when Rodriguez's hand was pulled, but to me, the hand was grabbed outside of the penalty area, and he was onside beforehand as well. But for me, that wasn't not strong enough to be a penalty. But we've seen some crazy penalties given this weekend, which we'll get into. And apart from that, I think it was a deserved win for Trabzon. Malatya scored. It was a great goal by Ömer initially. It was a great header. But Trabzon, like you say, they were pounding on the door with their offensive play, and I think they were deserving of the 2-1 victory in the end.
Have I told you my Ömer Şişmanol anecdote before?
I don't think you have, but let's hear it. Story time.
It's not actually an Ömer Şişmanol anecdote. A couple of years ago, Besiktas were playing Tottenham in the Europa League, and I managed to get some VIP tickets through one of the players. And I went with my girlfriend and with my good friend Volkan. We went to the game at White Hart Lane, and we were sitting in the stands in the VIP section, from the Besiktas VIP section, and we were looking to our left, and we're like, that guy looks a lot like Ömer Şişmanol. Who the... Is that Ömer Şişmanol? It has to be him. Turned out it was his brother, who apparently got tickets from Ömer to go to this match, because Ömer was still under contract with Besiktas at the time. I think he was out on loan at Kayseri or something. I don't remember exactly, but it looked like two drops of water, just like Ömer Şişmanol.
So he has an identical twin.
I think it might. I think it was his twin. I'm not 100% sure. It might have just been a younger or an older brother, but he looked exactly like him. Sometimes you don't need to be a twin to look a lot like your sibling, of course.
I suppose so, yeah.
Question though, red card for Mustafa Akbaş, guys, 2 yellow cards in time span of 6 minutes, 70th and 76th minute. Were both correct in your opinions?
I thought the second one might have been a little bit harsh. I couldn't see too much contact there to warrant a second yellow.
What do you think?
There wasn't much contact. I agree with Ozzy, but he did cut off the offensive run of Abdülkadir there. So I think the ref thought, well, I'm going to send you off, sunshine. So deserved, I think. Even though there was very little, if any, contact, there was enough kind of movement made to trip up Abdülkadir to prevent him from going and continuing his offensive run, where he probably would have either crossed it in or produced some kind of offensive threat. So you can't be doing that, especially when you're already on a yellow card. So I think he deserved to be sent off with second yellow.
Okay, deserved win for Trabzonspor, another 3 points in the bag, and they continue to breathe down Besiktas's neck in the top 4. And we've said it for a couple of weeks, they've secured that 4th position, and they're looking up at this point. So it's very positive for their second half of the season for sure. Next up, Akhisar. Sorry?
I'm worried because, sorry to jump in, they've won their last 5 games and they come to Kadıköy next weekend as well. So I'm already preparing my prayer beads and my prayer, whatever you call it, hope for a result.
I wasn't even aware of that, actually. I knew they still played you guys, but I wasn't really thinking much. I'm looking up too. Anyway, moving over to the next one, Akhisar against Antalyaspor. Another one of those last grasp chances for Akhisar, who really already kind of gave it away last week when they didn't manage to beat Erzurum. But Akhisar losing at home this time to Antalyaspor 1-2, and this time it wasn't a late turnaround. It was pretty clear from the get-go. After just 7 minutes, Mevlut Erdinç opened the scoring, made it 1-0, and then in the 40th minute he made it 2-0. Two of those were really nice striker goals, I thought. The first one was assisted by Ali Sissoko, really good cross. Second one assisted by Nazim Sangare, simple low cross at the near post where Erdinç popped up like a proper Semih-Şentürk-esque striker. Then Helder Barbosa managed to pull one back in the second half for Akhisar in the 58th minute, but it wasn't to be. A little bit more offensive prowess from Akhisar in the second half, but all in all, just not good enough to get something out of this match. And they looked really good just 2 weeks ago, I think, when they came away at Göztepe with a win, if I'm not mistaken, and then just 2 weeks later it looks done and dusted for them after losing that relegation dogfight to Erzurumspor. And it looks like the cup winners and the Super Cup winners of this season, and perhaps even the finalists in the Turkish Cup, and who knows, it looks like they're going to be in the second division next season, guys. Özer, what did you think of this match? Were you impressed with Antalyaspor, and how do you think Bülent Korkmaz is doing there?
Yeah, I think he's doing pretty well. We've spoken about this 2 or 3 episodes ago about Bülent's work at Antalyaspor, and they play some nice, confident, fast-flowing football. Nazim Sangare has been one of the top players this season, and his assist is a kind of low-flying cross like you mentioned, but the build-up to that assist was brilliant. He made a real darting run down that right wing. And I think the addition of Mevlut Erdinç has been great for them as well. He scored twice today. He scored once last week. Goalkeeper Bofan has made some brilliant saves again this weekend against Akhisar. So I think slowly they've got some nice key players in key positions. So they're playing some interesting football. Although having said that, they are up against Akhisar, who are rock bottom in the league. So the performance might have flattered them somewhat. But overall, I think Antalya can be quite pleased with how the season is progressing.
What do you think, Burak? They shot their last chances out the window, Akhisar?
I think they have here. They didn't play too badly as well against Antalya. They had quite a good few chances to score. But like Ozzy mentioned, Bofan again just pulled off some great saves. Pulled off a great save when they were 2-1 ahead. I think they saved a header that Bofan saved. Right at the end, Akhisar had a good chance to pull it level where I forget who it was. Someone put in a quick ball, almost like a cross-come shot across the face of the goal, and there were 2 Akhisar players that couldn't get on the end of it. Again, the build-up play to the Erdinç's second goal, the little 1-2 that Nazım Sangare played, was joyful. I'd like to see him at Fenerbahçe next season. So I think he could do great things, and we need a right back, to be quite fair. But I think that is it now for Akhisar. I think they're condemned to go down, and well, we've still got to play them as well, but we play them away in 3 weeks, and that should be a match we should be winning. But I just think they are just too far gone now, rock bottom on 24 points, I believe. 3 points behind the next team ahead of them, who are Göztepe. So I think it's time to say bye-bye to our friends at Akhisar.
Yeah, you're correct. 24 points for Akhisar at the moment. They're dead bottom. They're 3 points behind Göztepe and 4 points behind Erzurum now. Which brings us to the next match, because Göztepe and Erzurum squared off in Izmir, and Göztepe, just another one of those matches where they had their last chance, and you know what, you can't say that they haven't had the schedule in their favor. They've had all 3 of their direct rivals in the relegation zone at home in the second half of the season, and they didn't manage to win a single time. In fact, they didn't even score a single goal in those 3 games. This one ended 0-1. Tayfun Antalyalı getting the scoring started, and that was also the final goal. So that was the only goal of the match. So in the 25th minute, Taylan Antalyalı, with a header, I believe it was, gets Erzurum in front, and Göztepe showed a little bit more spirit in the second half, more attacking. We've lacked that even a little in those other matches where they couldn't get the job done at home, but they showed intent, but They knew it was their final chance probably, but they just couldn't get the job done. Cameron Jerome blasted a sitter over, also was offside. Yasin, I think Yasin may have hit the post or something along those lines. But at the end of the day, Göztepe lose again at home. They already lost at home to Akhisar, of course, 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. And then several weeks ago, they didn't manage to beat Bursa, which ended in 0-0. So that's 3 matches, like I already said, against direct competitors, which they just failed to score a single goal in at home, which is somewhere you expect a team like Göztepe with that home crowd, with that amount of fans. You expect them to galvanize those opportunities at home at least. And they've just been terrible in the second half of the season. I think at this point, you almost have to say that they deserve to go down. How painful that may be for us football lovers who want to see those types of clubs in the league with a proper fan base, with history and all that kind of stuff. But Burak, gonna throw to you first. Göztepe, this is the final nail in their coffin, I think, right?
Well, we want to say that, but I think they still have a kind of chance. If you look at their fixtures, their last 2 fixtures are away to Bursa and at home to Ankaragücü. Again, 2 teams that are around that kind of area. But I think it's the next 3 games that are really going to decide if they stay up or go down. I mean, they've lost 4 games in a row now. They haven't won a game in 6 games. And you're right, Yasin did hit the post with a free kick. I think it was at the start of the second half. It was very unlucky, a good free kick. And then Dennis had a glaring miss to make it 1-1 from a cross from the wide that come in. And then right at the end, Thailand could have made it 2-0 for Erzurum, but for Beto saves. I think Beto deserves better because he's been a good keeper, I think, this season. Yeah. So I think if Göztepe do end up going down, I can see him moving to another Anadolu takımı. I don't know who would want to pick him up. Maybe someone like a Malatya or Konya, someone like that. But I think the next 3 games really are going to decide Göztepe's fate because they're away to Basaksehir next weekend and they'll be looking to bounce back. And then they have Antalya and Sivasspor, 2 quite tricky teams that play good football and score goals. So if they can pick up maybe 3 or 4 points in the next 3 games, they may have a chance going into their last 2 against their fellow relegation battlers. But it's going to be tough, and they really do need to just improve their finishing in front of goal. Even though Cameron Jerome was offside for that chance, he blazed it high over the stadium into the streets of Izmir. So I don't rate him at all personally, and I think they're going to struggle. But they do still have a chance, but they really have to up their performances.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last week when Galatasaray failed to beat Fenerbahce, the title race seemed over, and that's now definitely not the case after this weekend. So things can turn really quickly. The difference is at the top of the table, you usually have teams that are picking up wins a lot more easily, have more quality, obviously. At the bottom of the table, for them to turn things around out of nowhere, usually that involves a little bit of under the table dealing. So I don't know. I think it's. I know that statistically they're just a win away from getting out of the relegation zone because they're just 2 points, if I'm not mistaken, behind Bursa. So with a win, they're out of there if Bursa lose. But it is just looking so super grim for them. I know Özer is also very sympathetic has a lot of sympathy for Göztepe too. But at this point, Özer. They don't deserve to be in the league. I think if you have to pick 2 teams or 3 teams, they're definitely bottom. I mean, purely
from form, it's difficult to disagree with you. I mean, in terms of heritage and everything that you mentioned before, then it would be the opposite comment. But I just think that they're unrecognisable from the way they started the season. Tamer Tuna hasn't turned things around. In fact, he's made things worse. Now the formidable home record has been taken away. Now losing against the likes of Erzurum, who are relegation candidates as well. So really, it's really hard to find a way out for Göztepe. Like you said, there's still 5 games, and things can change in that time, as we've seen at the top half of the table. But there's no signs, there's no indication, there's no signal that anything's going to change. And to Burak's point about the likes of Beto and other players, it's going to be a shame because they're as individuals, they're very good quality guys. I mean, I can't imagine someone like Beto moving from Izmir to Konya. I mean, that's quite a depressing thought for most people. But I don't know what's going to happen to the Izmir boys if the club goes down. It'll fall apart.
I mean, Beto's up there in age; he's like 36 or something. But honestly, if Besiktas
doesn't show it,
if Besiktas need a good goalkeeper for a year or two, I'd take him. He's great. He's
absolutely
amazing. I think he's been arguably, except for Gökhan Akan, who's probably been the best goalkeeper this season. I think Beto's still up there in the top 3 of performance-wise best goalkeepers in the league. Definitely last season. But yeah, let's move forward to the next one. Göztepe, that's gonna be difficult for them. Erzurum didn't impress really either. I mean, but they get the win again, and they scrape by and get those points, and that means they're still fully in it and can still survive. But it's gonna be difficult for sure. You can even see on their goal, it's all a little bit less crisp than what other teams are showing. I think even Bursaspor. So let's move over to the main event of sorts of Saturday. Galatasaray beating Kayserispor at home 3-1. Kayserispor, of course, have been in good form in the second half of the season, so this is definitely not. This definitely wasn't too easy of an opponent going into this match. In fact, Artem Krabec had put Kayserispor ahead in the 15th minute, but Mbaye Diagne got on the score sheet from open play in the 16th minute. Just a minute later, he basically tapped in a rebound after the goalkeeper Lung had made a save on a long-range effort from, I think, Ndiaye. Am I right there?
Fernando shot.
Oh, Fernando. Yeah. Okay. So, and then in the 42nd minute, Mbaye Diagne got on the score sheet again. This time it was from his trusted penalty spot after Thiago Lopez had picked up a second yellow card. He had initially picked up one in the 30th minute, and then in the 38th minute he made a foul on, I think it was Diagne as well. He gave him like a light little push and got a second yellow for that penalty as well. Diagne converts from the spot, and then Yuto Nagatomo scores his first ever goal in Turkey in the 45th minute with a header, and he's the second Japanese player to ever score a goal in the Turkish Super League, after, of course, Shinji Kagawa. Had to get that in there. But yeah, the red card for Thiago Lopez is probably one of the biggest talking points here. The yellow card for Emre Agbaba after a very interesting play for the ball, if you can call it that. And then in the second half, there were some penalty shots for Kayserispor as well. That definitely we should talk about. But Özer, give your views on the match first, please.
Oh, well, it was a wonderful, beautiful day. I took the laptop outside to enjoy the sunshine, cracked open an ice-cold beer, sat around with a couple of friends, and just really, really enjoyed this 90 minutes of football, I have to say. Even though we went 1-0 down against Kayseri, I thought this is always a fixture that I look forward to because Kayseri tend to play quite open football. And given our pretty strong home record, I thought this should be a comfortable win for us. So despite going 1-0 down, I didn't give up faith. And sure enough, our man Diagne equalised within a couple of minutes from open play, like you said, which is the stuff of dreams, really, the stuff of miracles that he didn't score from a penalty, or the fact that he was able to even hit the target from open play. But it was an open goal. But never mind, we'll give him that. And then the goal from Nagatomo, which was just a real source of delight for me. He was clearly inspired by me, having selected him in the best 11 some couple of weeks ago when we did our best 11 podcast. And the shortest guy on the pitch came up and scored a header. I mean, really amazing header as well. A lot of power, a lot of accuracy from the front of the goalkeeper, and it was just a great goal, great moment. About 5-10 minutes later, he swiveled past one Kayserispor player and then just went forward. You just heard the whole crowd screaming, shoot. Sure enough, he delivers a massive thunderbolt from quite far outside the box, and I see the net kind of burst, and I'm like, yes, he scored again! What an amazing goal this is! The commentator shouts goal. The score changes from 3-1 to 4-1 on the screen, and then before I've able to wipe the beer that I've spilt all over myself, I realised from the replay that it didn't actually go in; it hit the side netting. So I don't know if you guys felt anything similar watching that shot from Nagatomo, but it was just an amazing couple of minutes for him. NDIA had a chance to loop the goalkeeper in a very kind of selfish and ultimately selfish way, because he didn't score, ended up embarrassing himself. He saw the headlines, but thankfully it didn't cost us anything. Overall, it was a very good team performance. I'm very happy with the result. Quite disappointed about the Emre Akbaba yellow card there, because I believe it means he's going to miss the next match, and it was quite an unnecessary bit of amateur acrobatics that he tried to pull off there, and I think the yellow card is only fair.
Definitely. Burak, what do you think about the game?
I always knew Galatasaray were going to win this. I thought the disappointment of the derby last week, they'd be fired up and they're playing at home. And like what you said, they're playing against Kaiser, a team who aren't very compact. They leave open spaces, just like they did for that great goal by Nagatomo. He was left wide open at the far post. He wasn't being picked up by any players. So he came in and bullet train headed it into the far corner. A great goal. I thought Kaiser's goal was really well worked actually. To go 1-0 up, they played it down the right, just a well worked goal, and then swept into the goal for Galatasaray. Jagner, we do give him a lot of stick and crap, but even though he's scoring penalties, he's scoring. And that's something that I would love for Fenerbahce to be able to do, is just score a goal. And yes, the goal was a tap-in, but he followed in like all good strikers should do. He was there for a rebound, and well deserved his first goal and then the second goal from the penalty. I think the Emre Akbaba incident should have been a red card. High foot, dangerous play into the shoulder type face area of the player. We've seen people sent off for that previously, so it'd be nice to have some consistency. But right at the end, where I can't remember which Galatasaray player it was, pushed a Kayserispor player over and was given a yellow card. Similar incident happened to Kravets in the area, which I think should have been given as a so I think that should have been given as a penalty. So there were some inconsistencies by the referee on the day, but Galatasaray well worth their 3 points. So I can't have any complaints about that.
Couple big decisions though. I don't think you can really argue too much about the penalty. There's just clearly a push there, but is it really a yellow? I mean, he's not robbing him of a clear-cut goal-scoring opportunity. Players turned with his back to goal. It's not really a big thing, not a huge push or anything like that. I don't know, to give him a second yellow card there, that felt extremely harsh, especially coming off of just giving Emre Akbaba a yellow. I know there shouldn't be any compensation, but I don't know, like, how often does a player get carded after making a penalty foul? And then usually it's because of it's a dangerous tackle or something like that. This was not dangerous or anything like that. It felt really, really, really harsh. And then if you see in the second half the push of Luyendama on, I think it was Kravets, that's just he pushed him just as hard. Okay, the guy's running away from goal, I think, but that shouldn't really matter in the result of whether it's a spot kick or not. Obviously, at that point, that's not going to impact the scoring. They're down a man. They're 3-1 down. That'll be 3-2 at best. But yeah, like you said, some inconsistency there. I don't know. Özer, do you think that was a second yellow? I mean, I'm not going to argue about the penalty. It's clearly a push. So, but you think really that the second yellow was warranted?
Yeah, well, I guess it's a debate as to whether or not it's a clear goal scoring opportunity. I I suppose it can be taken as being slightly harsh, given that the penalty was awarded as well. But I mean, at the time, I didn't question it too much, to be honest, and it didn't make it into my podcast notes either. So I'm going to say that the referee made the right call.
What did you think? I mean, and I know you already said that the yellow was deserved for Emre, but do you think he got lucky to not get a red there, or do you think yellow is sufficed for that?
Yeah, again, and I suppose the most famous example of this is Nani against Real Madrid. The red card that Cüneyt Çakır actually gave in the Champions League for a similar position. So I guess a lot of people will point to that as the textbook case study. So if the referee and to be honest, at the time I had agreed with Cüneyt's decision there. So if the referee had given a red card, I would have said, look, you just got to know not to jump like that in such a flamboyant way. He was lucky that the other player wasn't directly in front of his foot. Otherwise, it could have been quite nasty.
Something like this is like this is definition of reckless. I mean,
exactly.
That type of a challenge that does not belong on a football pitch. Whether you whether you injure the opponent or not, you shouldn't be attempting that. I think he's extremely lucky to get off with yellow. And I think the only reason he gets off with yellow is because he didn't frontally kick him in the face or something. But 2 inches more left, and the foot should not be there, not in that type of a position. I mean, you have a couple of weeks ago we had that Luyendama red card, but that's still different. Emre's going in there like he's trying to super kick him, you know?
Yes, like something out of Tekken.
A wrestling move, like sweet chin music, right, Burak?
Yeah, what do you call it?
No, that was more like the Booker T axe kick. Sweet chin music starts off like it's a reverse crescent type movement.
He didn't wind up before, right?
He didn't tune up the band. There was no stamping his foot down, so I'm not accepting that as a sweet chin music, but it was definitely some kind of kick by Emre Akbaba.
What do you think about the second yellow for Thiago?
Thiago Lopez.
Yeah, the yellow card for the second yellow, basically the red for the penalty.
For the penalty, so
it's a penalty. I don't think anyone can debate that. But is it a yellow card, really?
Well, I thought the rule was if you give a penalty, then you shouldn't give a card to compound the misery.
No. That's red card.
So that's red card.
But this was a second yellow card. Basically, what they've done away, IFAB have done away with the double penalizing, basically. So unless in certain situations it's still a red card and a penalty. That depends on the situation. But they have done away with that because they don't want double punishment. So they don't want to give a penalty and a red card. But this is technically not that because it's a penalty and a yellow card.
A card. So I thought the yellow card was given for him handling the ball, but did you guys say it was for a push?
I think he pushed him, didn't he?
See, I swear that when I was watching the replays, the penalty was given for handball against Thiago Lopez.
I thought he pushed him on the shoulder blade. But I might have been wrong. I was watching on a small screen. For me, it was a penalty. And yellow card, well, you've got to follow the law, right? And as we always say, I'm a man of the law, and it's okay not to give a double punishment if it's a red, but it's stopping a goal scoring chance. Then the referee has every right to give him a yellow, and going down to 10 men and then going 2-1 down. I think that's when it was officially over for Kayseri. Yeah, definitely. Let's move over to Sunday. Unless any of you have anything to add, we have a very exciting match coming up on Sunday. Ankaragücü.
Oh yes, Ankaragücü Konyaspor.
Actually, the scoreline was 0-0, so that might make you think it was an absolute bore fest. But there were some chances here and there. I think Ankaragücü showed maybe most spirit going forward, but at the end of the day, it was kind of deserving of the scoreline. I think I didn't even write any notes, so I don't know if any of you have anything to add to this match.
Not really. Just the best chance of the game fell to Orgel, but I mean, he actually created it himself.
Yeah,
so
good run.
It's hard to say that he really wasted it. But yeah, nothing really to add in this game. Nothing really of note.
I'm sure Burak has Torah notes and has everything that happened between minute 1 and 90.
Oh yeah, I mean the moment where Altay nearly kicked the ball into his own
Right.
net,
Yeah.
where he goes, it bounces, he goes to kick it, it kind of
Yeah.
comes off the side of his boot, and then he has to
And
kick it out. But then he makes up for his error where he makes the save.
But-
So that was a good fun. Again,
so detrimental for a young goalkeeper, though. I think when the big clubs are watching a young, promising goalkeeper like that, 20 years old, and he's been impressive so far for Ankara Gücü ever since taking his place between the sticks, and then he does something like that, and all the big clubs are expecting, goalkeepers who can use their feet, and then you see that. I think it's, I don't know, make me think twice before I made an offer for him, honestly. Which it's unfortunate because he's a very good goalkeeper on his line, but. Yeah.
Well, didn't let the goal in though, so he did recover. So, and like you say, he is still young. So hopefully that's one of the few slip ups that he's gotten out of his system. I think Fofana had a really good chance in the first half where the ball was squared to him. He put it about probably a couple of foot wide. That was interesting. And then Kulisic, I think, had a good chance after some great work by Pinto down the left wing. One of the few moments of good football in that game, but he failed to convert, and a 0-0 works in favour for Fenerbahce, so I was quite happy with that result.
So what was your inclination when you see something like that with a young promising goalkeeper like Altay Özer, when you see that awful footwork? Do you think, it can happen to anyone? Because it can. I mean, even Neuer has a miscontrol at times. But when you're thinking about successors to Muslera down the line, which I think you guys are thinking of more vividly now so than ever, probably, and you're thinking Turkish goalkeeper, you're probably not, but let's say you are, Altay would initially be one. Oh, look, a young, talented goalkeeper, maybe Galatasaray should be looking at him. When you see something like that, then do you go, ooh, maybe not?
Well, I mean, let's be fair. He's only 21, and it was a kind of momentary lapse. Let's say it was just kind of. I don't think it's anything that shows fundamental flaw in his ability. It was just a kind of momentary brain fart. Let's say, all even top goalkeepers are capable of it. Like you said, even Neuer, Neuer. I mean, even Muslera has a couple of those in him a season. So I don't think that's the kind of thing that would write him off. Like you say, we are in the market for, or at least we're in the planning for Muslera's successor. Whether or not that be next season or the season after is something else. But he's definitely on our list of players to watch.
Okay, let's move over to Basaksehir, because I'm not going to pose you the same question, Burak, because you guys have a plethora of goalkeepers to choose from with of course Harun and then Perke
as well.
So let's move over to the next one. Basaksehir Çaykur Rizespor. Basaksehir coming off their first defeat in 2019 last week against Besiktas. You would expect them to go and rebound at home, get a win, but like we said last week, if one team could give them problems, it's gonna be Çaykur Rizespor. And it sure as hell did, because Çaykur Rizespor were held to a draw, not Basaksehir. Çaykur Rizespor were held to a draw after a 95th minute penalty goal from Edin Visca. Vedat Muric had put the visitors ahead in the 62nd minute, and I think that was his 14th goal of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Initially not the best first touch, but that actually worked out in his advantage because it gave him an angle to beat Mert more easily in the near corner, and putting Rize ahead in the 62nd minute. Deserved, I think. Rize were pushing throughout the game. Basaksehir had some chances, but it was really all Rizespor in the beginning. Basaksehir took a little while to get into the match. Both teams, it was a little bit back and forth, very open football, a lot of attacking football. Both teams wanted to score, both teams wanted to win. Rizespor playing very positively. I think they deserved to go ahead, and then in the 4th minute of stoppage time, 3rd minute of stoppage time, Mahmut Tigdemir brought down in the box. No penalty, says referee. VAR intervenes, tells him to go and take a look, and then the penalty is awarded. And that's not the first time. Of course, this happened a couple of weeks ago against Kayserispor as well at home. Basaksehir got a 97th-minute penalty equalizer then. Now it's the 95th minute. And of course, last week that loss against Besiktas. So Basaksehir kind of just crawling through the eye of the needle, as they say. Really, despite a couple of weeks ago I said, I think against Kayseri, that they still looked good despite that late equalizer. But here, this was the first time, bar maybe last week, that I really truly felt that Basaksehir were in jeopardy, because Rizespor, they were better for the most part of this match, I'd say. Özer, is that what you came to the same conclusion as I did?
Yeah, absolutely. Vedat Moric, again, one of the flash players of 2019, along with Nakayami, like we discussed, who's really, really impressive. And I absolutely agree with you that Riza will feel very hard done by for not walking away from Istanbul with all 3 points. The manner in which they conceded the penalty, 96th minute is when the goal was actually registered. That kind of thing really burns. And it puts a stop to their push for that 5th position, that potential European spot. Having said that, Edin Visca for Basaksehir did everything possible he could to score before that penalty. So he deserves a lot of credit once again for being the kind of the catalyst for their team. But with only picking up 1 from a possible 6 points, I think this is the real game where the question marks start flying up about Basaksehir. Are they going to bottle it, or are they going to have enough to go over the line, given their fixtures coming up? We did say last week that this could be a potential bogey match, and it proved to be correct. We just have to see now if they've got the mental strength to hold on.
Yeah, I mean, now doubt's going to start creeping in, especially if Galatasaray keep winning their matches. Obviously, a very big bonus for Basaksehir is in 2 weeks' time, it's Galatasaray Besiktas, and that's very fortunate for Basaksehir that match comes before they play Galatasaray, I think, because that match is going to take at least 1, if not 2, of their competitors out of the race, I think. Because if that one ends in a Besiktas win, it's over for Galatasaray. I think that's you can't go past it. If that one ends in a Galatasaray win, it's definitely over for Besiktas. If that one ends in a draw, which is the best scenario for them, then I think it's probably over for both of them. So they're kind of lucky in regards to the schedule. They might have the easier schedule from the 3 top 3 teams left. But they don't necessarily have a super easy schedule. I think now their first upcoming game is Göztepe. That should be a walkover win for them. But then they still play Sivasspor. They still play Ankaragücü. So they of course still play Galatasaray, and they still play Alanyaspor. Those aren't easy games. I mean, Sivasspor, the second half of the season, definitely not impressive, but that they can prove somewhat stubborn. Ankaragücü could be a real pickle for them, and Alanyaspor, I could see them giving them trouble too, because Alanyaspor, definitely a decent side. So when nerve starts creeping in, and you can see, I think this was one of the first time you could really see that there, despite having so many experienced players, there was doubt, I think. When I didn't see that a couple of weeks ago against Kayserispor. At no point I didn't feel that they were doubting and that they were losing motivation, so to speak, or belief or whatever. But after that defeat last week and then this, I think it's they're starting to show cracks. Burak, would you agree?
Yes, I would, and it's quite surprising to see. Look at the players they have in their squad that have won championships before in Turkey and elsewhere. Players like Clichy and Emre and Arda and Robinho and Adebayor, the talent that Edin Visca possesses. You would think that they have players that can actually galvanize the team to say, look, come on guys, let's push through. And you have those leaders like an Emre, like an Arda, who can actually have experienced fighting for titles before. It's quite surprising to see them slipping up. But the penalty at the end was such a weak penalty. The push on the Kayserispor player that wasn't given against Galatasaray, and I think the penalty that Basaksehir got was even weaker. I can't remember who it was that went down. Was it Adebayor that went down, or was it someone else?
I think it was Mahmoud.
Well, Mahmoud Tekdemir.
I think so.
Yeah, it was such a weak decision, and I was watching the game and thinking, okay, Rize have put a good shift in. They played some good attacking football. Vedat Murkic, like I say, he's made up for some of his errors last week by popping in a goal this week. What a great free transfer he was. God knows how much we played for Slimani, and he hasn't managed to hit a barn door with a bloody beach ball, a useless piece of crap. But Rizespor should feel robbed. Definitely, they worked hard. Basaksehir didn't really create a lot, despite Edin Visca working his absolute socks off to try and create something, almost trying to play them by himself at some point, and he deserves to be somewhere else other than Basaksehir.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine him even win whatever happens, whether they win the league or not? Can you just imagine him he's already overstated. I think he's 28. He should have left 2-3 years ago. I mean,
yeah,
it's such a shame for his career. I mean, I wonder how it feels for him. A 95th minute equalizer from the penalty spot, cool Panenka, and barely any crowd reaction at home. How does that feel for a footballer? Is that what you play for? I wonder. I mean, you want to hear people chant your name, and you want to hear pure raw emotion from the crowd, right? And it must be depressing.
These guys are playing for the title, and I would say it wasn't even 1/4 full, the stadium. I mean, it must be really a slap in the face to be such a great player, to give everything for the team, but to have no recognition from the fans.
Yeah, and this is a type of game where the crowd helps to motivate the team to give them that final effort that pushed them over the final third. And obviously, because there is no crowd, that's going to play, I think, a big factor in Basaksehir's upcoming home games. If you think of the crowd at the Telecom Arena, the crowd at Vodafone, even the crowd at Kadıköy, despite the fact that we're fighting relegation, they galvanize a team. They provide that extra 12-man support, and that can really help to inspire and motivate players to up their performance or run that little bit harder when they're a little bit tired or they're feeling a little bit demotivated. A good chant from the crowd can help pick them up. Basaksehir don't have that to their advantage, because whoever it is in the crowd, they're just eating their chikirdek rather than singing songs. So,
and I don't think it's any coincidence that they've dropped point. Like the reason they're in the position they're in right now is because they couldn't, like you said, galvanize those wins at home. I mean, both Kayseri and now Rizespor. I mean, losing away at Besiktas, that can happen to anyone. Losing away at Galatasaray, that could happen to anyone. That's not abnormal. But dropping 2 really important points in the middle of a heated title race, really, at this point, at home to, with all due respect, Kayserispor and Rizespor. I mean, I've been full of praise of Rizespor in the second half of the season, but this is a team that if you want to win the title, you have to beat. We saw 2 weeks ago Besiktas trashed them, despite the fact that Rizespor weren't bad in that match, but we should see some more quality, I think, from Basaksehir, and that's why I really think that you can see doubt creeping in, and just cracks in the armor starting the show, and that's something I think just a couple of weeks ago we didn't expect to be possible. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago they were 13 points in front of Besiktas, they were 8 points in front of Galatasaray. Now the difference is only 3 and 6, with 5 more games to go. So it's at this point definitely a 2-horse race, and then I think there's a little bit of a straggler behind that still has a slight chance. but they obviously have to hope for the front runner to break his leg, fall, and the second one to stumble over the body of the first, and then take it, be the happy third dog running away with a bone or whatever. With all my analogies here, but yeah, no, Basaksehir, this was the match I think they needed to win to maintain confidence in their title challenge. Now it's going to be difficult because if Galatasaray keeps winning, then it's going to come down to, like Burak said, I think last week, it's going to come down to that Galatasaray-Basaksehir game. Galatasaray have a really big advantage, the fact that they are playing those games at home. Like, they can really thank their lucky stars to the scheduling commission that they get both those derbies at home.
Yeah. That is a huge advantage.
Yeah, it's a massive advantage for sure. And it's gonna be potentially decisive for the title. But Özer, what did you think about the penalty position? Burak clearly didn't think it was one. Very soft, at least.
Really soft. I mean, really, really soft. It took me about 10 views of the replay to even realize what the penalty was given for.
I still don't know.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just scandalous decision, really. But, about the whole championship thing, I'm still keeping up my top 10. I still think Basaksehir have the ability and they still have the likelihood of walking away with the title. So I'm not going to change my opinion of the last few weeks just yet. I don't want to jinx anything. But
and maybe the Istanbul elections had an impact on Basaksehir.
Well, exactly, yeah. So this is... The real support that they had was from the city, the municipality. Now that that's looking like it's been eroded, they don't have any fans to act as a buffer. So it all comes and starts trickling down to the players. So long may it continue.
Maybe those elections came a couple of months late, or just on time. Maybe just on time.
In Ankara, we're seeing that Mansur Yavaş, the mayor, is going to cut the purse strings for Osmanlıspor, another wasted project team. So hopefully.
İmamoğlu has already stated beforehand that he was going to focus on the real clubs of Istanbul.
Exactly, and he's visited all three stadiums as well in the last couple of weeks to show support.
Let's take a look then at the remaining fixture on Sunday, and that was one I'm sure Burak will have lots to say about. Alanyaspor Fenerbahçe 1-0. Goal by Efecan Karaca in the 57th minute. Fenerbahçe suffer yet another defeat. Alanyaspor continue their good form in the second half of the season, and they could potentially still make a run for Europe. But Fenerbahçe losing again, and I think there's really not much to say in terms of this being a competitive match. I think Alanyaspor should have made this 3-4, 5-0, to say the least. Would you agree, Burak?
I would, yes. We had one shot on target all game, I think. Just embarrassing. It's just such an embarrassing, disgraceful performance by us away to Alanya. Now, we might not have the best squad and best players that a Fenerbahçe team has had in the last 10 years, but there's no excuse for not running, not putting in any effort, not showing some passion and some character. I mean, that second half was just absolutely diabolical, just pure dog shit, absolutely awful football. And if Papi Cisse was, had any kind of finishing ability, then he should have made it at least 2-3, 4-0 against us. I was just so disappointed. Our midfield was lacking. Topal and Tolgay doing absolutely nothing. Elif trying to run around himself in front. Ismail Kobaşı, I mean, that guy just needs to be sent to the glue factory. Sorry, I mean, just get him out of the team. I can count on two hands people I'd like to see out of the team, but Efecan absolutely tore him a new arsehole. So in that game, he was just absolutely pounding him. And one of the it's a Fenerbahce pundits I follow on Twitter, a guy called Ersin Sezer, who, if you're a Fenerbahce fan, I'd implore you to go and follow him. He always puts up really good analysis of the matches before and afterwards. And he made a good point of saying, well, we know Hasan Ali Kaldırım was suspended after seeing red card against Galatasaray last weekend. So why not start a young left back? Someone from like the youth team, maybe give him a chance, or like someone else. What would happen is Efecan would have a great match, and we wouldn't be able to do anything down the left hand side, and we weren't able to do anything down the left hand side anyway, which because we were so poor. I also don't understand why Arsenal has switched Dirar to the left hand side, where he had formed a really good partnership with Maurizio Isla a couple of weeks ago, and they were playing some good football. At least they were providing some good overlaps with each other. They were at least getting some crosses into the box. But we're bringing on, Frey as a striker. And if that doesn't make you want to vomit in your mouth as a Fenerbahce fan, I don't know what does. Serdar Aziz gets injured, typical. So Sadık comes on, and it's a misunderstanding between him and Harun, which leads to the goal. Why is Zayt, arguably one of our best technical players, coming on in the 70th minute? I would put Jalson in the midfield to get some legs to run around. But it was just, an awful performance, and it's just embarrassing to watch, Valbuena trying to take on the whole team by himself. Andre fucking Ayew as a striker. I mean, bring up, the Yusuf from the young team who's banging in the goals, and Arsenal gives this excuse of saying we don't want to bring the young players into this team at the moment because it would affect them negatively. Which I kind of agree with to some point, but what have we got to lose? Also, give them a chance.
When you're saying it as a coach, aren't you just saying it as a spoiled batch, Dan? I mean, that's basically what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, you're saying you don't want to bring them into such a poisonous environment, and I think that's what is a little bit maybe affected Barış Alıcı. But I think he should have been given the chance to play more as well.
I thought Barış was impressive in what we saw of him at Fenerbahce, but now, I mean, I expected him to play a lot for Malatya, but we haven't really seen anything. Did he get injured or something? Because he's been completely off the radar.
I've not heard anything about that, so for me, it's just watching this team is just disappointing. It's hard to try and get angry anymore. What I'd like to see is, somehow to get safety confirmed with maybe 2 matches to go, and then just bring in the youth players and just let them have some fun and express themselves.
Those last 2 games you can just field basically an entire B team. Let Berke play, like Ferdi play. You should have kept Barış, and Barış should have been playing throughout. I mean, what can he do worse than whoever else is playing on those wings? He was showing good things early on in the season, so it's really puzzling that he just didn't get a lot more playing time. I mean, if let's say Barış would have stayed and he would have been a starter at this point, and just showing a good performance here and there, and then at least you have that to lift yourself up on from the season. I mean, when this season is over, there will be there's not a single bright spot for Fenerbahce fans going into the summer, going into next season. I mean, yeah, Harun had a good performance today, but he's 29 and going on 30 years old. He's not like, it's not like, oh, we got a young, talented player we got to look forward to next season. Like Barış could have been that player. Ferdi could have been that player. Zayt could have been that player. He's only 24 years old. Let him play. Let him try and shine a little bit. But I guess the same kind of logic applies to him with Ersun, where he maybe doesn't want to bring him into this team too quickly or something. I don't know.
I can see Ersun being let go in the summer. I think, bileti kesildi, as they will say, just because I remember when we first started this pod, we spoke about Arsenal's kamikaze attacking football that he would play. Last 2 weeks, it's been almost the complete opposite. it's been abysmal football with no sense of wanting to attack or using your width or trying to use your players like a let's say like a Zeitz in there to just be technical and pick a pass and pull the defense apart and shots and free kicks. And yeah, I just want the season to be over with, stay up and go on holiday basically. It's just depressing to watch Fenerbahce play football right now, and we got 5 matches left, and like I say, we play Trabzon at home next weekend. Hopefully we can lift ourselves with that match because of the rivalry that exists there, but
isn't that more like the Besiktas Bursa thing though? Like it's more a one-sided rivalry where Trabzon are going to be extremely motivated for that, but Fenerbahce, it's not Galatasaray. It's not. I don't know. Like it's for for Bursa, when the biggest match for their entire season is when Besiktas comes to town. That's just what their thing is at this point with their blind hatreds for the club. And it's the same thing with Erzurumspor, really. I mean, obviously there's a bigger rivalry going further back between Fenerbahce and Erzurumspor, but still, it's still kind of a one-sided rivalry more than it is with like Besiktas Galatasaray, Fenerbahce Galatasaray, Fenerbahce Besiktas. Those are actual rivalries that have been around for 100 years plus. But yeah,
anything we can use to try and just get a performance out of these pushed players, I would be happy with. Because watching that on Sunday, each of them just needed a slap as they came off the pitch. Like Recep İvedik, Osman Lu, just smack round the head to say you're playing for Fenerbahce. So I'm angry, disappointed, sad, all the negative emotions.
I'm so happy I don't bleep, because I would have to bleep a lot.
This is exactly pure unadulterated director's cut.
Exactly, extra. Over to you, Ozzy. Just tell us why we're so crap, please.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm long past the point of deriving pleasure from your pain, Burak. Like it really even frustrates me watching Fenerbahce like this, because having our biggest rival down in the dumps is not good for us. I think Fenerbahce, all good for the league. It's not good for the league. It's not good for the Turkish football in general. There's no European football for Fener next season. That irrespective of where they finish in the league, because I think Fener will stay up. But no European football is a huge loss for the club and for the Turkish league. Fenerbahce, but back to this game, Fenerbahce were absolutely dreadful. I mean, Alanya would be really disappointed that only finished 1-0. Had it not been for Harun's pretty exceptional point-blank saves, of which there were 2 or 3 that I could count, and various others kind of like more, also quite impressive saves, it could have been 4, 5, 6 nils on Alanyaspor. I mean, Fener were unrecognisable. And one must also consider the S1E10 factor here as well, because he has this habit of putting on the style when playing against the big teams. Mm-hmm. And he must have done something. He must have motivated the players in such a way to say, "Hey, come on, guys, we're playing against Fener. Let's make the headlines. Let's show them who's boss of Alanya." And they really played some really fabulous football. So as bad as Fener were, Alanya were pretty impressive as well, and we have to take that into account. And maybe Sergen is trying to put himself in the shop window, because of course there's another job opportunity coming up in Istanbul in the summer.
Undoubtedly. And imagine if somehow, by some miracle, Besiktas can still win the title on the final match day and Alanyaspor beat Basaksehir. No better way to come into a new club, is there?
Yeah. The problem is, it would be downhill from there, because unless he won the league again, he might be considered a failure.
But that's me with a lot of fantasy booking there. But Burak did touch on something there where this is not Ersun football that we're seeing this Fenerbahce play, and the question beckons: can he turn things around in the summer? I mean, this team needs a huge overhaul. I think it's almost inevitable at this point. Like, Ali Koç is going to have to dig into his own pockets. He's going to have to completely ignore financial fair play. And he's going to have to do something insane in the summer. Either that or Fenerbahce are going to have to go to another season or two of slowly building. Yeah, I don't know. That seems like the only option right now for them to just say, okay, you know what? We're not going to be able to make financial fair play. We're not going to meet the requirements anyway. We might as well take a European ban for the next season even. And we're just going to completely redo this team. Because I don't necessarily think that this team has such bad quality. I think there's plenty of quality there. I mean, definitely they should not be where they are in the table. I'm not saying that they have enough quality to challenge for the title, but you do have to keep in mind they're with basically the same, a very similar squad. Only Giuliano and Sousa left. Obviously, Giuliano was very important last season, but they came off a season where last season I think it had 73 points or something like that, or 72 points, and not all that much changed in that team. I'm not saying that, like I said, they shouldn't be a title contender, but they should, with this squad, still be top 6. There's no excuse for being that low on the table. Obviously, mentally, there's lots of stuff wrong because of that awful start they had at the beginning of the season. And it's just very difficult for a coach to come in and immediately rectify that. But he has had a little bit of an impact early on, but it's just been much of the same for the remainder of the second half of the season, where Fenerbahce are just poor. There's no real spark. There's no real light at the end of the tunnel. I think, at this point, Burak said it, you can count on two hands the amount of players that should just go. And there's a couple of players there that aren't going to be going, because, we talked about Frey. He's signed a long-term contract. He's going to be at that club for a while, or at least be under contract with that club, unless he accepts like a buyout or something. Obviously, Ayo is going to be gone. Slimani is going to be gone. What's the deal with Valbuena now? Did his extension trigger? Because he's playing again lately. I don't know how many games he exactly had to play to have an automatic extension trigger. Burak, do you know?
I have not looked into that, and neither for Soldado either. But that's something I need to research in a bit more detail. But yeah, I'd be happy with Valbuena and Soldado staying another season. Frey, someone just needs to buy Frey. He needs to be given like a one-way ticket to somewhere like Argentina, and let one of the lower like teams in the Argentinian league pick him up. He'll do well there. He'll battle. He'll throw a few punches, eat some cheese, and just maybe score a few goals. Yeah, he's Swiss, isn't he? So give him some cheese. Off you go, Frey. Thanks for absolutely nothing. Just absolute horrendous signing. And so Benzia's going, Slimani's going. Get them. Ayu's gonna bugger off. Thank God.
Where did they find Frey to begin with? I mean, it's not like they paid a ridiculous amount of money for him, but they paid a transfer fee. They paid him a decent amount of wage, like 1.2 million a year. And I don't really get how they ended up with him. I don't really understand that. It's very puzzling.
Same. I don't understand either, and I don't want to understand. I just want him to be gone.
I mean, Kamoli, is he still at the club now, or did they decide to let him go already?
He's still there. He's helping out with the scouting, and you have maybe 10 goes, and he has 10 goes and maybe gets it right once and gets it wrong 9 times.
He's done a terrible job when it comes to the first team signings, at least. And I highly doubt that he had much of an impact on the Barış Alici and the Burak Özer deals. I mean, obviously those were on Fener's radar already. So, but let's move over to Monday.
Please, let's move over. Let's leave.
End
Burak's out of his misery.
Yeah, let's put Burak out of his misery, and let's wrap things up with the final match on matchday 29. That was Sivasspor against Besiktas. This one ends 1-2 to Besiktas. Vida getting the scoring started here in the 21st minute. if I'm not mistaken. I think that I wrote that down in my notes, but I'm not sure if that's accurate, actually. And then Diabate gets the equalizer in the 45th minute for Sivasspor, and towards the end of the match, Burak Yilmaz scores an emphatic free kick to put Besiktas ahead 2-1 in the 87th minute, and gives them still a lifeline, still a little bit of hope in regards to the Super League title this season. Although for me, I'm not dreaming. I don't believe in it anymore, but you never know. I mean, there's still a chance. As long as there's a mathematical chance, you need to keep fighting. Besiktas' form in the second half of the season has been pretty spectacular, except for maybe that very deflating draw against Fenerbahce a couple of weeks ago. But Besiktas continued their winning ways, and it's mainly thanks to one man, and that's Burak Yilmaz. 9 goals in 11 matches. He's played every single game in the second half of the season except for one. He missed that one due to suspension, and he's now 1 yellow card away from suspension. So I think Özer is probably already hoping that he's going to take that next week against Ankaragücü, so he misses the derby on match day 31. But yeah, he's had Besiktas had Burak Yilmaz at the start of the season, things could have looked much different for them. Yeah, just a couple more points in the first half of the season, just 4 or 5 more points. They only had 26 points in the first half of the season. They have already 30 points now at this stage, just 12 matches in. So with 5 matches more to go, they've already got 4 points more than they did the entire first half of the season. There's just a couple of factors there. Besiktas have changed things up a little bit, where Dorukhan has come into the team, has become an important player in the team. Obviously, Laic is becoming more and more the main focal point of their attacks, and then of course there's Burak Yilmaz, who's had a tremendous contribution to Besiktas' run in the second half of the season. But this was by far their least impressive performance, I think, in recent weeks. Sivasspor did not impress me, but did enough to keep Besiktas contained. Didn't give away too many open chances. There was one really big chance for Burak that I can recall that Tolgahan made a spectacular save on, but then it came right at the end with that free kick. And Özer, I know he scored a couple of those for Galatasaray too, but I don't know if you were watching live, but what did you think when he stepped up and took the ball away from Laic basically and said, "Look, I'm taking this"?
Yeah, you're right, because he scored quite a few at all the clubs he's been at. Really, he has this very kind of direct, sort of rocket-esque shot when he shoots from that distance. Too close, when you're too close on the edge of the box, he can often hit it too high. When it's too far, he often hits the wall or just skies it. It looked like it was just right. But I wasn't actually watching this game live. But when I watched the highlights, I didn't actually know that he'd scored, or rather how he scored the goal. So I thought, I wonder if it's one of those Burak Yilmaz classics, and sure enough, it was. He has just been a complete revelation for Besiktas. I'm happy for him personally as well, because I've criticised him in the past for certain things, but never really doubted his goal scoring ability. And really, he's just doing what he does best: silencing the haters.
For sure, yeah, literally, and it's cost him a couple of yellow cards actually. Silencing the haters. He did it in what was that game 2 weeks ago away? Riza, of course. Yeah, Riza, got a yellow card there after basically celebrating his goal by shushing the crowd. Got them a yellow card, of course. And Burak, what do you think of your namesake's goal and his run of form lately?
The great free kick goal. I thought the foul given before it was very clever by Burak Yilmaz to play for the foul there. But he's just shown his experience. When he took the ball off Laic, I thought, all right, you better produce something here, or you're going to have Ardem in your ear giving you some harsh words. But he steps up and like the green arrow, just like spacks it into the top right hand corner, goes off the bar as well, which always makes a goal better when it goes off like the woodwork. Yeah. And like you say, his goal scoring ability is never in doubt. It's his ability to stay fit and just keep his own personal I don't want to say demons, but just keep his personality in check.
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit. So if he can control those, obviously you can't control getting injured, because that just happens. A bad challenge, you misplace your foot, something can snap and go. And he's a little bit older as well, so maybe he's more susceptible to injury. But ignoring that, if he can just keep playing well and being harmonious in the team, then he's going to score more goals, especially towards the end of the season. He could be a real thorn in Galatasaray's side in the derby, if he doesn't get suspended. So you want to watch out, Ozzy, that Burak Yilmaz doesn't become the boy with the thorn in his side. little reference for you there.
Very good. I enjoy that very much.
Indeed.
What did you guys think of the celebration, by the way, from Diabate? Did you guys catch that?
I didn't know. The celebration, no.
No, I didn't actually catch that. No, it was a great goal.
Was it the somersaults?
Celebration.
Yeah, he made a couple of somersaults. Yeah.
Okay.
Very bad for the back.
Always risky.
But yeah, I don't know if you guys caught that goal, and what happened before that as well with Medel, because Gary Medel's season is over.
Yes.
He got a nasty kick and apparently tore a muscle, and it's fin de la saison pour Mr. Medel.
Dear. Was that from the injury or from his elaborate protestation that followed?
I think, he was limping already at that point. I think
okay.
it was just maybe I don't know if it was the actual, I don't think it was the actual kick, probably the way he lands or something, but apparently it's the end of the season for him,
that's a shame.
Which is kind of a shame because he had been playing well in recent weeks in a three-man back line. Didn't play particularly well in this one, though. Was definitely to blame for the equalizing goal, kind of cut off Lens's Lens a little bit in that the defensive move there, which gave Diabate a little bit of extra space in the box. But all in all, a win for Besiktas, probably deserved. They were the better of the two teams, but not overly so. Statistically, they looked dominant, but when you look at the actual football on the pitch, it definitely wasn't their best performance. But Besiktas stay in it, 6 points away from Basaksehir with 5 matches to go. Obviously, they have to completely rely on Basaksehir slipping up. On paper, if Besiktas win everything, they are guaranteed second place. But for the title, they need some serious messing up on Basaksehir's end, because even if they would end on level points with Basaksehir, then it would come down to goal differential, because the head-to-head is the same. Away goals apparently do not count, and in head-to-head it's 2-2. So then it comes down to goal differential. Besiktas have the highest goal total scored, but they have a lot more conceded. And of course, Basaksehir have a very positive conceded amount of goals conceded. I think they only conceded like 15 goals or something all season, or 16. They should still keep their title dreams alive a little bit. Obviously, the big favorites right now are Basaksehir and Galatasaray. And like I said before already, it's kind of a three-horse race where there's one straggling behind, and that one just has to hope that the other two, that one falls and takes the other one with him. So I think for Besiktas to win the title needs a miracle at this point. Despite the fact that it's just 6 points, but just when we look at the schedule, they still have to go away at Galatasaray. Galatasaray haven't lost away in almost 2 full seasons. I think the last time Galatasaray lost at home, it was against Besiktas, I think, 2 seasons ago.
I think that's correct, yeah. And even in home and away, unbeaten in the last 15, which is pretty good.
Yeah, Besiktas unbeaten in the last 12. I think they probably have the best run of form in the second half of the season.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they have 30 points total right now, so I think they have the most points, yeah. But, realistically, can we still say they are a title contender at this point, or do they need at least one more slip-up from Basaksehir to be realistically considered a title contender? For me, the books were closed like in December.
Yeah. I think definitely they need too many things to go their way, too many slip-ups.
Yeah.
To win the title, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they need to win everything.
Yeah.
There's no excuse. As soon as they mess up once, it's over.
Yeah.
And with that game away at Galatasaray, it's going to be extremely tough. Burak, do you still believe in miracles?
You sexy thing.
You sexy thing. Yay!
Hey.
I do. I do. I think it's not completely out of the picture for Besiktas to win the title. It's going to take a lot of factors going the right way for them. Least of all, beating Galatasaray in the Türk Telekom Arena. But I think ultimately, like I said last week, it's going to come down to the game between Galatasaray and Basaksehir. That's going to be the title decider for me. But I wouldn't be surprised if Besiktas sneak second place. So I think that maybe we could be looking at a potential Galatasaray winning the league with Besiktas finishing second.
Oh, that would be marvellous.
Really?
It could happen.
I just don't see Basaksehir ending outside of the top two at this point. I think if Besiktas are gonna finish second, it'll be over Galatasaray. I just can't see that happen. No, but anyway, that'll do it for this week's coverage of the matches. We can have a quick look at the table, maybe, but not all that much changed, of course, because except for Erzurum at the bottom, there weren't any massive amounts of points gained there. So let's have a quick look at the bottom of the table. Let's start there first with the bottom four, because those are the real relegation candidates. I'm not even counting Fenerbahce at this point. They're 4 points ahead of Bursaspor at this point still, so I don't think they should be counted. But number 15 is Bursaspor, and they have 29 points. Then we have Erzurumspor with 28 points in 16th position, the first drop-off spot. Then at the second drop-off spot, we of course have Göztepe, who've been on 27 points for quite a few weeks now. And then the dead bottom is Akhisar. So right now it's really all between Bursaspor, Erzurumspor, and Göztepe. Two of those teams are going to go down. That's almost certain. So it just remains to be seen who of those two is going to go down. Then let's switch over to the top 5 in the league, which is going to probably determine the European spots. If Galatasaray were to win the Cup at least, then number 5 would go to Europe as well. Still league leaders are Basaksehir with 62 points, then Galatasaray sneaking up behind them, just 3 points behind with 59 points. Besiktas, another 3-point drop off, 6 points off the leaders and 3 points off of Galatasaray are in third with 56 points. And then there's a 4-point drop off to Trabzonspor, who are in fourth with 52 points. And then we have an 11-point drop off to 5th place, which is being shared currently by the two beach city teams, so to speak, Alanya and Antalya, both on 41 points, but Alanyaspor have the better goal differential, although I do think that head-to-head Antalya are ahead against Alanya, so if it would end like this, I think Antalya would take fifth. So if Galatasaray win the cup, it could be either one of these two that still head into Europe, because then there's a 3-point drop off already to a bunch of teams, 3 teams in fact, that have 38 points, which are Rizespor, Yeni Malatya, and Kasımpaşa. I could still see Rizespor sneak in there for sure for 5th place, but Kasımpaşa and Yeni Malatya, they just haven't been impressive enough. So anything to add to the league table, guys, or can we call it quits for episode 10, the historical episode 10?
I say let's call it quits for today, but keep a very close eye on that race for 5th.
Yeah.
Yes, let's keep an eye on that indeed. Like you say, Fenerbahce are 4 points ahead of Bursa. So really we should be able to not be embroiled in a relegation battle, but mathematically we still are. And
I think they're just looking too much at each other right now. Bursa, Göztepe, and Erzurum are just... they're too caught up with each other. I don't think any of them are looking up past Bursaspor. I think right now it's just place 15. That's safety. That's where they want to be.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting going into the last 5 games of the season. And I just hope that we play some nice football to give our fans something to cheer about and ignore, the absolute monstrosity that's been our season so far.
Yeah, that'll do it for episode 10, people. Please check the show notes. You can find the Twitter handles of Burak, of Özer, and of myself, of course, in there. You can follow us on Twitter. Interact with us. Let us know what you think. Who is going to win the championship this season? Is it going to be Basaksehir? Is it going to be Galatasaray? Or is a miracle going to happen? Is it going to be Besiktas? And then, of course, who are going to be those final two teams to drop off? I think at this point, Akhisar seems clear, but this is going to be Göztepe, is it going to be Erzurum, or is it going to be Bursaspor? One of those three is going to survive, but two of those three are going to go down. Let us know what you think. And that'll do it for this week. Burak, thank you very much. Özer, thank you very much. And I'll speak to you guys again next week.
Have a very good evening. Speak to you all soon, gentlemen.
Next week.
Bye-bye.